We were there to see Tomberlane, and people were throwing lit cigarette butts at him because they wanted him to get off the stage. And people just didn't get it, and they were booing Tomberlane. And it was like me and a couple other people that were there, and we were like, you assholes don't know who this is? So we're like just trying to block him, you know, we were like cheering, and there was this one guy, he was kind of Mexican too, and he kept screaming, Marky Moon! Marky Moon! And I was like, he's not gonna sing Marky Moon, but he just did all this like really beautiful like Tomberlane singer-songwriter kind of songs, and it did not go well. And that's when the church was really big. The church. So, you know.
What's that song? I can't remember.
Under the Milky Way tonight. Yes. That's it. So they came out and we left.
Ed Hall, Pocket Fisherman opening up for the Butthole.
Oh yeah.
And I like that video.
Yeah,
Dallas and Austin.
I was at that one too! I was at that one! I have this t-shirt! I should have worn that t-shirt! I have the t-shirt!
That one that you...
Yes!
That's the show.
I have the t-shirt! Oh my god, I should have worn that t-shirt!
Well, the poster is not the t-shirt I've seen you wear.
I was at this show. I was at this show. That's awesome. Awesome. What else? I was at this show.
But I just love the artwork. I mean, God Jig did some really beautiful poster art back in the day. I mean, that's why this is here. And then you got, maybe this is Kozig. No, it's Jason Austin, who I went to school with. I grew up with this guy. Jason Austin. He was, in school, he was never an artist. He didn't take any art classes that I knew about. But anyway, we all went to school together growing up, and he apparently got into some poster art with these bands. It was a really fun time. I mean, you can imagine, like, the late 80s coming into the 90s, we were still tacking or stapling posters to telephone poles or taping them to the side of a record shop. You know? We're still doing that, and that's what you'd get. And I'm sure I'm going to walk around the corner here and find one of them I pulled off the wall myself because you collected that. I mean, it was just these guys, they did it almost for free. They did it for the mission to go see these guys play. I don't know what they worked out, but they loved making posters like that. And it's very indicative of everything that was done in San Francisco, the old traditional style. The Fillmore posters, and, it's really catchy. But I'm so happy that we had a scene here with Franklin and a bunch of and God Juke and these guys really doing some amazing poster art in this town.
I was at this show.
And just kind of borrowing on the wash of colors, sort of. Yeah, definitely doing the wash of colors too. Yeah, borrowing on the old soul prints from a decade, a generation before.
That's so cool.
Look at Katie. Look at that.
I was at that show. I was at that show. Eddie Wilson. That's when I was working at Thread Hills. And I told Eddie Wilson, do you know anybody that could get me tickets to the Katie Lang show? And he's like, no, I don't. And then the day before the show, he shows up and he's like, shut up, go. He bought them for me.
Taste 101 sponsor.
Yes, he bought me tickets to Katie Lang. And then that, Susie and the Banshees was, that show was right after Laurie Anderson had played at the Palmer Auditorium. So we went to see Laurie Anderson play at the Palmer Auditorium, and then we took a taxi down the street to Susie and the Banshees, and because she hadn't sold a lot of tickets, because a lot of people were going to see Laurie Anderson, they had a thing where like bring your Laurie Anderson ticket and getting half price to see Susie and the Banshees. But we already had both tickets, so we went to see Laurie Anderson, then we went to see Susie and the Banshees. It was amazing. It was amazing. I love the 80s in Austin. The 80s in Austin was awesome.
I need that right now.
Awesome time to be here. Time to be here. The Austin Sun.
Austin Sun.
Do you remember the Austin Sun?
I do.
You do?
Barely.
I don't know.
Benford, Benny Benford.
And these are where the colors leak between?
Yeah, you put one color of ink on one side of the fountain and another color of ink on the other side of the fountain, and you run the press. And they melt together in the center. Because since they're fluid and the cylinder is running constantly, the colors just meld together. And they make the rainbow effect in the center.
So this is another example? Excuse me.
And then by the time it was my time,
Yeah, so all of these like split fountain, that's what those are. When they make the rainbow.
I was at the show and I have this poster. I have this.
This is also this is
Yeah,
the
this is a
vertical.
split fountain. This is a split fountain. Color or with the wiggly lines or whatever with the pattern in it. They would run the split fountain and they'd run the image over the top of it a lot of times. So that's how we did it. And
Without computers.
without computers, without the use of computers.
You mean stuff.
Right, stuff. That's what I'm saying. Just talking too fast here. A lot of different things. Hey! How we doing?
No, we're doing great. Thanks for trying to say what's to Amber.
Oh, let's get out of the way.
No, they do. They played when it was called the Opry House. And the Neville Brothers with the Watch Over it was a couple of years back.
That's a wild chapter too.
We had North Lamar. And I saw Duck Song.
Yeah. I saw Muddy Waters out there, Lewis and the Legends, and a bunch of those guys. But Doug saw him at North Soap Creek Saloon in North Lamar. Was where he played when he was 6 years old. He sat on Hank Williams' knee. That's where that was.
Oh, that's where he did that.
Yeah.
I remember seeing
When
that.
Hank Williams played there, Doug Somm was there. Famous picture of him playing on his knee. Dougie Woogie.
Me too.
You watch it again.
Yeah. And then the blues kind of came along. I'll tell you that.
You know what? Me too.
They're selling it, drinking water.
Richard's rainwater, yeah. And actually, we just got approached by a brewer in Dripping Springs who wants to do beer. They
Pond
wanted,
Street Brewery.
Yeah.
Those are our friends.
Really?
Yes, Patty and Tim, Elliot.
They wanted.
We worked at the Dillo together.
Really?
And he brings us beer.
Are they building?
I couldn't understand. I mean, finally it dawned on me that none of these Tex-Mex restaurants had got the authentic chips from Mexico. There's a quality they have in Mexico.
Well, because you get the tortillas and you fry them.
And it's lard. There's lard and,
Yeah.
and they're roasty and they're thicker and they're just
Yeah, they're
very
thick, they're like-
distinctly
yeah.
different.
You don't make chips, straight chips.
Why can't any of these Tex-Mex restaurants get the authentic chips? So I was over at I know the restoration of the original sign.
Okay.
Remember the first time I went there, I was working at Armadillo one day, and the Budweiser guys came by and grabbed me, physically grabbed me. Said, "We're taking you somewhere." I said, "Where are we going?" Last time they did that, they took me to dinner. This time it was second row seats for Bonnie Raitt over there at the Opera House. So that was the first time I ever saw a show there. Since I worked at Armadillo, I didn't get out much for other shows. And I really enjoyed that place. It was a nice night, and you got to see the band up close. We did the Christmas Bazaar at Cherry Creek Plaza, 81, 82, 83, and it wasn't going to work for 84, so I went and go down to talk to Tim O'Connor. And Tim wasn't real sure about me, so we talked for a little while, and Tim liked what I had to say, I liked what he had to say. So he became this wonderful, benevolent landlord for many, many years, not only at the Opera House, but later at the Music Hall. There we were at this wonderful place called the Austin Opera House. And we were kind of in fear that the landlord was going to show up and want to play. That would be Willie. But Tim was really the landlord, not Willie, so he never did come down there and do that. Now, there was rumors about this ghost that had somehow or another, a guy who had been on Willie's crew named Hackberry, who supposedly spent a lot of time walking around just above the ceiling. And I thought everybody was crazy talking about this Hackberry thing. You know, it's just one of those legends that kind of lives on. You know, somebody made up a story and somebody else passed it on. Somebody else said it was true and someone else was enough to believe it. So one night, I'm down there and talking to the night watchman. And he said something about Hackberry. And I okay, yeah, right. And then he went to the bathroom. Now I'm walking and I hear something walking right above me. I look up. There's nothing but an acoustical ceiling. Nobody's walking on an acoustical ceiling. So I took 2 steps and heard 2 steps behind me. Stop. No one behind me, it's above me. I mean, there's a strange echo in here. Either that or something's going on. So I never did know if there was a Hackberry or not, but I do know that one time walking through there, one time I heard something that I can't explain any other way other than to say it was something I didn't know what it was, you know. And so that may have been why they told the story of this guy, and maybe we got some creaky stuff in that ceiling, and maybe they had a real ghost. I wasn't there when he got there, so I wasn't there when he left, so I really don't know the full story. Tim sold the place, and the Leiter brothers had it. They were a little different to work with than Tim. And then they sold it to this church group. And this would have been 1995. We've been there since 84. So I went down there for this meeting. Well, they couldn't wait to talk to me. And they said, well, we're going to have events in the other room, or you can have the option of paying rent on both rooms if you want to. That's expensive. But don't worry about that. You're not going to have to. First of all, the bar is going to be different. We're not going to have alcohol. We're just going to have juices, and we're going to have tea. But the tea we're going to have is going to be decaffeinated. I looked at them, and then they said, but you don't have to worry about getting bands either. We're going to do all church music. And I said, oh, just a minute. And I got up like I was going to go get something out of the car. I think they were surprised when I got in the car, turned on the ignition, and drove away and went straight on down to the Austin Music Hall to see Tim O'Connor. And that was the last time I was ever around that building. So that's the memories of the Austin Opera House. Thank you. Bruce Valenzik, Armadillo Christmas Society.
You put a tip in the tip jar. Any amount. See? Get down to the last ones. I'm just give them, because y'all are friends of mine now. Thank you.
That's right.